Well, it looks like there's our first fail on the screen there. If you were looking at that starter screen, it says Saturdays 9 till 10. That's nearly as good as our forecasting of all the football results this week. Anyway, he's here to account for that in just a minute. But it is, of course, 10, which is the time now in my part of continental Europe. 10 till 11, we will be doing the sports report with Calvin Avery. So let's bring him on. Good morning to you, Calvin, in the UK this morning. How are you?
Bom dia, Carl.
Oh, olá, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Estou bem.
Muito bem, obrigado. E consigo?
No, that's as much as you're going to get out of me, Carl.
There, are we? Okay, all right, fair enough. It was a good effort.
Yeah. You won't get any more from me, pal.
She'll be very proud of you. So, how are you? Where are you? What's going on?
I'm actually in the UK now. I flew back a few days ago, and I'm now isolating myself at my brother-in-law's house. And it's 14 days of basically staying in the same area. You're not allowed to go out, and it's a bit daft, really, because I could have been working from Portugal like I used to do, but I'm in the UK now, and I've got to do 14 days. But I think on the 29th they may lift it, so that if they then I can come back like I normally do to the Portugal and basically stay weekends with my wife and then come back to work here.
Incredible. Really, really weird. And as you say, yeah, things are being reviewed all the time. I think the 4th of July is also going to be a bit of a date where things might change around the world as well. Because, the government seem to pick these key dates, don't they? But what's your experience of that then? Like 14 days of almost like solitary confinement?
Well, it's driving me up the wall, to be honest with you. But I'm lucky I'm with my sister-in-law. But I'm working away and putting things together at work. But it is hard to be in one room, let's say, for quite a while. I did. So when I was coming off the when I get off the airport, that if you haven't filled in the right forms, they'll just send you back to wherever you're coming from. So. Yeah, absolutely. You have to fill in the forms before you come, and the government send those forms out. And when you've filled them in, if you haven't filled them correctly or you can't show them at passport control, they'll send you back. It's as simple as that.
Wow. Okay. So, like, quite an interesting atmosphere in the UK then, by the sound of it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, not everyone's wearing the mask like they do in Portugal. I think this country will probably go backwards before it goes any forward.
Right, as in a second wave and more infections.
Absolutely.
And of course, this comes into our discussion today. We'll be talking about Liverpool, and it seems to be very hard for Liverpool fans to socially distance themselves at the moment. But we won't jump the gun on that. Obviously, this is a new thing. What we're trying to do here is connect up the expats and explorers, certainly in Portugal. But I think this particular program has a wider scope for anyone who's away from home, as it were, who feels a connection with the sport back home. That's one angle for sure. And because we're Good Morning Portugal, we'll be looking at the sport specifically in Portugal. One day I'm hoping we'll look at futsal, which I've never heard of until I came here. But of course, an absolutely thriving football scene in Portugal as well, which you'll be reporting on. You are the sport brain here, and I'm the kind of, I don't know, I am the wise to your Morecambe when it comes to sport.
That side of it might be for our next meeting, because I haven't really looked that up like you have. So the next Saturday we'll talk about that, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah, no rush on this. I mean, I'm just seeing this as an easygoing Saturday morning sort of thing, where people talk about, obviously it's going to go into results and people's favourite teams, and hopefully a slightly edgy atmosphere as the rivalry between teams back home is expressed and felt on the screen and in the comments here.
Absolutely right. I mean, I'll give you a bit of news, Carl, at the beginning. Is all black armbands will be worn each game today to basically have a minute's silence for the people who have died of coronavirus and the ones who are being affected by it. So everybody in the football industry will be wearing black armbands, even though there won't be any supporters at the clubs while they're watching them. And the Merseyside police, as you mentioned a minute ago, have basically said to the fans, obviously out celebrating all the time. Some have been arrested, but majority of the time people have been okay. But they seem to be congregating a lot of people together, and the police want to celebrate very safely, and that's basically what they have put out there for them. So over the next 7 days, 7 games I should say, there'll be even more celebrations, so they've got to be careful, really.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, there's so many things to talk about because I want to talk to you about like playing football in an empty stadium and the canned atmosphere and all of that sort of stuff. A bit of disclosure first, though. You've got to say who you support and your talk a bit maybe about your lifelong love of sport.
I wasn't going to tell you who I supported, but
You want to keep it a secret? Do you want to see if it sort of leaks out?
If you see me talking about one club in particular, then you'll probably realise, yeah, it's Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah, a long life supporter for Chelsea since I was a kid, and I go back to the days of Kerry Dixon and David Speed. Who probably the people who do support Chelsea would remember them, and Pat Nevin. Yeah. Up to where we are now, and it's a very exciting club at the moment. A lot of youngsters coming through. Frank Lampard being the manager who used to be a player for Chelsea, and a very good one at that. And Chelsea is my favourite team, but I won't try and be biased towards that.
That's not going to happen. Let's face it. Only as far back as Lee Dixon, I can tell you, even though I'm not like a big sports guy or football fan particularly. I mean, I'm fascinated, but not passionate, I suppose would be the way to put it. But I go back as far as Peter Bonetti's testimonial when Chelsea played Man United at Stamford Bridge that my dad took me to.
Well, funny enough, I was at school at Spencer Park in London, and I was lucky enough to be in the school team, and they brought Ron Harris and Peter Bonetti over to our training, and they were there for a day to train us, and it was really, really good. And I loved the fact that I was a Chelsea fan, and those two came along. Peter Bonetti, I hasten to add, used to smoke about 50 cigarettes a day, so it's quite funny to watch, really, as you watch it. If you talk about people and the way they play now and how healthy they are. But I was playing, and Ron Harris was running down the wing, and he crossed the ball, and I headed it past Peter Bonetti. So that's my claim to fame against Chelsea, and it was a really, really good moment for me.
I bet that's wonderful. And what glory days of football when the goalkeeper could have his packet of fags just in his goal there and have a smoke while all the action was taking place down the other end, or even a little sip on a can of Tennent's Extra or something like that.
Yeah. So...
Spencer, I'm glad to talk to you about that. I went to Emmanuel. We're next door neighbours at school.
That's right, Emmanuel. Yeah,
incredible, right. Incredible. Anyway, but enough about our private lives. We've got us a bit of comment coming in. 4th of July, great day. I believe that's Owen's birthday. So have a great day there. Parabéns in advance to you, Owen. And he is the first in a very gentlemanly gesture to step forward. And as a Man City fan of 30 years, he congratulates, although he does say Liverpool's a title win. Is that a bit of banter or a typo? I'm not sure if he does just... Okay. Oh yeah, congratulate. Yes. So obviously, I don't know if you want to say about Liverpool at this moment. It's the big news, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, what I wanted to do, Cole, as we've started this off, obviously things will change as we go along. But if I go through the clubs in the Premiership, because I know you're not really a football fanatic like I am, but if we can go through the clubs as they are in the Premiership, and then we can have a little game at the end, because my predictions, as you said, were very, very bad, and I want to see if I can pit my wits against you, and you can pick whatever you want, whatever teams, whatever scores you require, you want to put on there, and then we can see who comes out the best next week. But I'll give you a bit of background on the clubs, and you can have some idea of what you're talking about when you actually predict who's going to win and who's not going to win and what scores.
Brilliant. That's quite a risk you're taking there, to be potentially shamed up by a complete sort of football nerd. But we'll see. Go on.
Well, if you beat me, then I'll be putting you on the pool, or the pools. I don't know if they do the pools anymore, but they certainly do scores on the doors at betting clubs. So I might go by your guidance.
Oh, I see. So I might be like your football Rain Man, and I might have a sort of really intuitive ability about football, not knowing anything about it and not swayed by the emotion of it. I might just deliver the most amazing results.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and if you are good at it, then I'll follow you.
Some money back. Look at this. We've started something here already. This is Football Claims to Fame. I shared a desk at school with Graham Lasso. That's my claim to footy fame. That's fantastic.
Well, he must have lived in, I don't know if it's Jersey, or because he came from one of the islands. Yeah. So I'm hoping he's going to come back with what Ireland he was from. I think it was Jersey. It might be
I'm gonna
Guernsey,
go with
but
Jersey. Yeah, I
yeah,
think people from Jersey. Yeah, and wasn't Graham Lasso a little bit of a sort of gentleman footballer, a bit of a posh boy, antique collector, and all this sort of malarkey?
yeah, he was, but he had a hard side to him. You know, when he moved to Newcastle, I think he had a fight on the pitch. So Lee Bowyer, I think it was. So you know, he had a nasty side to him, but he is a gentleman. He's a good guy, and he's a good player. But he does have a bad side when he wants to.
Okay, maybe that's what you have to do as a gentleman footballer. Just show that other side of yourself, so you don't get the Mickey taken out of you too much. Another one, yeah, great claim to fame, says Wayne. Mine was I scrimped down against England prop Garrett Chilcott, but it was at the bar in Bath. A clash of heads. As clash of heads, they were looking for more small change for the next round, maybe. He was. Oh, look at this. Peter, I was part of the Jersey surf team in '86 and finished in Europe. Yeah, and the juniors that year. Good heavens. Okay, we're all in good company here, sports fans. Well, I'm in good company with the rest of you sports fans. Jersey it is. And Owen says, I have a family connection to the Centurions. City, I'll tell you one day, too long to text. He's such a tease, isn't he? That's going to have to be over a pint by the sound of it.
He's obviously got a lot of stories to tell.
We're really open to them, and that is a cracking start. Lovely to have your company, Peter, Wayne, Owen, and other people who haven't declared themselves as yet. Do chip in. This is going to be a very friendly and light-hearted thing, I think, on a Saturday morning. So back to you, Calvin.
Well, I'll go through the teams that are in the Premiership and what I think will happen and next season, let's say. But first up, congratulations to Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool for winning the Premiership. Obviously, they've got 7 games left to play, and they've first title they've won for 30 years. So it's quite a while back, and when they were really dominant, to be honest with you, but now it's taken 30 years to get the title back. So congratulations to them. But they're also champions of Europe, and they're also champions of the Super Cup as well. So they've got a few cups in their pocket now, and they can actually move forward. But the actual players they've got are superb. I mean, you've got Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, just on the front three. And without those, you're not going to win the title, and they're going to be there for quite a while. And it wouldn't surprise me if they don't win the league a few times. But I'm sure there's a lot of supporters out there who will say no, because there's a lot of clubs going to be building on what they've got this season. But they were going to have an open bus, but they won't be doing that now. They'll be doing it at some stage, but it won't be this side of the coronavirus.
Can you imagine what the comments were like in the boardroom and the meetings with the police and the town officials? Like, some people would have been saying, this has got to go ahead. Whatever happens, this has got to go ahead. We can't, after 30 years, we cannot not do this. And then the public health people and the council saying, look, we can't do this. You saw what happened in Bournemouth 2 days ago. This is not happening in Liverpool.
No, you're right. I mean, but Jurgen Klopp was overwhelmed. I mean, they tried to interview him after Chelsea beat Man City, so they didn't really have to play a game to win the title, but they tried to interview him, and he was so overwhelmed they couldn't do it. So they had to talk to him probably the next day to get any interviews out of him. He was that overwhelmed with it. But he's dedicated the win to all the fans in Liverpool, which is good, because they're the people who have behind it, but they've come close. Liverpool have come close to winning the league before under Brendan Rodgers, and it just didn't happen. But it's a good club, a big club, and they are where they should be at the moment. But I'm hoping that Chelsea will do good next year and take over the mantle. But anyway, that's Liverpool.
Do I detect a little bit of sourness there? Because you said congratulations, but it has taken you 30 years. So all you like Man United, Man City, Chelsea fans, the Gunners are all like, yeah, well, whatever, 30 years. It's about time you had your turn. Is that how it's rolling?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, we're probably never going to hear the last of this. I mean, if there's any Liverpool fans, they'll be on there. But I'm sure we'll never hear the last of this for a long time. So, but to be fair, they are a very good club. I mean, a really good club, and got some youngsters coming through, and it'd be hard to beat them next year as well. In fact, I think I'll predict now that I think they'll win it again next year.
Wow. Okay, there you go. I love it. I love your predictions.
Yeah, but I'm glad because they don't work.
Yeah, I guess you've got quite a lot of scope to work within. You can say you're warming up, maybe.
Yeah.
But there we go, everyone. That's on record there. Calvin's prediction for next year's championship win is Liverpool again, 2 years running.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Premiership.
they'll do it again.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
a team, and it takes a while to get a team that settled. And they nearly did it last year, but they've actually they've been so good this year. They've to win it with 7 games left is just quite some feat. It really is. Anyway, moving on to Man City, which is in second place. They're going to be a bit gutted. They're going to be a bit gutted actually because they really needed to beat Chelsea and not let Liverpool win it the way they have, because now when Liverpool play them next week, they will have to clap them in. There'll be a guarded parade as the players come on. Man City will be either side clapping them in, and they will not want to do that. But they've got to do it now, so they're going to be absolutely gutted.
Do you know, look, Owen's already said not a chance. He's not agreeing with your prediction, and that bitterness is standing out from the screen, isn't it? I think maybe with comments here, maybe you could put hashtag and then your team. So whatever, MUFC or hashtag MUFC. So we know where you stand on this. I'm with Owen, says Wayne. City, Manchester City, I'm presuming. So those two aren't happy about your prediction already, and I'm loving this. This is good.
Yeah. But to be fair, Man City have an incredible side. I mean, Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva's actually leaving at the end of the season to go to Roma, I understand. But you got Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling. Some amazing players. I mean, and there's a lot of youngsters coming through. So they will give Liverpool a good run for their money. They really will. But you've got to keep Pep Guardiola, and I'm not sure whether he might stay or not. That could be next season. They'll be looking at that because Pep Guardiola is a good manager, but he won't want to not win the Premiership again. And the way Liverpool are playing, he may move on. I don't know.
What have you heard? Are you just winding the Man City fans up now, or is this?
No. I think it has been mentioned before that Pep Guardiola has thought about moving on at some stage, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be this next season or the season after. But he won't want to come second, and Liverpool are an extremely good club at the moment.
All right. Just before we lose this in the comments, Peter from Castanheira de Pera in Portugal, where João Carvalho comes from, who plays for Nottingham Forest, ex-Benfica player and Portugal national player. I'm loving all these little sort of claims to fame and local snippets of news. So onward with the Premiership then.
Okay. Let's move on to Leicester in third place, and they've got a good side and a young side coming through. And as I said, Brendan Rodgers actually nearly won the title for Liverpool. Then he went to Celtic and did very, very well there, but he wanted to come back. The draw of coming back to the Premiership was something that he really wanted to do. So he came back to Leicester, and Leicester actually won the Premiership in 2016, which was unbelievable feat, to be honest with you. A little club like that to come out and actually win the Premiership with all the players that from Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, everyone else couldn't catch them. So they did really, really well to win that. However, Brendan Rodgers has taken them on, and they're now in third place, and they're doing very well. And I think they'll be in the top 4 come the end of the season, and they'll be in Europe. So there's another good side to watch, Leicester, but I don't think they'll win the Premiership next year.
Okay.
Moving on to Chelsea, 4th place. My team, of course. I don't know what to say. I mean, Frank Lampard is a legend in his own right. I mean, he's probably arguably one of the best midfielders in his time. And he's scored more goals. He's probably won every single cup bar the World Cup. But you never know because of the way he's playing and the youngsters he's bringing through after Gareth Southgate. The English for England may come along and try and snap him up and be the manager for them. So maybe he can win the World Cup for England as a manager. You never know. But he really is a good manager, and he's bringing in some fantastic new players. So I'd watch Chelsea next season. I'm being biased, I know, but
it's inevitable, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay. Moving on to Man United. Now, Man United, I'm not too sure about what's going on there. I mean, you've got Paul Pogba, who is a fantastic player. I mean, a really brilliant player. And he, for whatever reason, isn't doing what he should be doing for Manchester United. There was rumours that last season that he wanted to go. And I presume that see where Man United end up this season. If they don't end up in the top 4, I would imagine he will go. And that leaves him with, some good players, Rashford, Martial, and a few youngsters coming through. But I don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's a manager, is going to be able to turn that club around. I think they need to get another manager, and my money is on Pochettino. And I think that he was the Spurs manager, and I think he may be standing in the wings, because as soon as Ole doesn't get in the top 4, I think they may move, and they move quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll sort of whiz through the others, not because the other reason, but the top 4 are always the main teams that are going to go into Europe, and the 5th place does go into Europe, but not as big as the top 4. So Wolves are doing unbelievably well. Nuno Santo is a Portuguese manager. Extremely good, but I'm not sure whether he'll be at Wolves next year. I think he's going to be picked off. Somebody's going to take him on, and but the good thing about him is he's actually got 7 Portuguese players in his team. So he's obviously sticking with his country, and they've done very, very well, and I think they will do very well next season if they keep him. But I don't think Nuno's going to stay. Tottenham. Well, I don't understand what's happening there. Jose Mourinho was arguably the best manager in the world at one stage, especially when he was with Chelsea. And since then, he's actually gone back. I don't know what is happening with him. Manchester United, he won 2 cups, but they didn't like him there, didn't like the style of football. He's now at Tottenham. The same thing's happening there. So I think he should take some time off, Mourinho, and then come back with different ideas, because at the moment he's going backwards when all the other managers are going forwards, or the young managers are sort of taking over from him. So I think there's something going on at Tottenham, and I think they're going to fall by the wayside as well. But a big club.
I would so love to hear that conversation of you telling him that he needs to take a bit of time off. That'd be a priceless moment.
Yeah, but you have to understand, I actually love Mourinho because for what he did for Chelsea. So I wouldn't have a bad word said against him. But I don't know what's happening with him. Something's going wrong. They've got some good players here. Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Son Min-sun. There's some really good players there. So I think maybe the time has come to get another manager, a young manager, who will take them back to where they should be. But it'll take a while for Tottenham to get back to where they should be. In fact, their competition at the moment is against Arsenal, because they've got a good rivalry, Arsenal and Tottenham. And they're not going to do anything else. Who's going to finish top? And at the moment, it's Tottenham. But Arsenal have got a new manager, so they might do well. In between Tottenham and Arsenal is Sheffield United, Chris Wilder. They came up last season. He's done a magnificent job to be where he is. He's got no money, and they've got what I would call an average team, but a very good team, compact together when they play together. No really big players. But he's done an incredible job, absolutely incredible job. The fact that he's actually above Arsenal speaks for itself. But he'll stay at Sheffield United. But I think a lot of clubs will be chasing him as well. So you better look out for these managers that are doing well, because they may go to other clubs. Going to underneath that, as I said, Mikel Arteta was brought in from Man City, and he was under Pep Guardiola, so he's got some good training. It's whether or not he can turn Arsenal around. And Arsenal's a massive club, and to be where they are at the moment is diabolical. But he's got to get rid of some players who are costing them a fortune. And once he's got rid of them and he starts to bring his new side in, he might do okay. But again, I don't think it's a club that will win the Premiership next season. Moving on to Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson. He's now in his 70s, so I don't think he's going to last with Crystal Palace for a couple of. He'll probably do in a couple more seasons, because he keeps them in the Premiership, and that's all they need to do. But they've got a player, King Zaha, who I think will go at the end of this season. And if he goes, then I think they may struggle to be where they are at the moment, middle of the Premiership. Next season, they really could struggle. So they may look at new managers for next season, the season after, specifically because Roy Hodgson's of an age of 70 years old. So it's a no-brainer. They will be looking for a new manager. Moving on to Burnley, Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche has done incredibly well with another team which he hasn't got the money, and he's keeping them where they are every single season. But he needs to move on. He really needs to get a bigger club. But the trouble is, getting a bigger club in the Premiership is a real problem, because if you look at the managers that in Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, and Leicester, they've got big managers there, and they're not going to go anywhere. So he may have to move abroad to get a big club and show his worth. And if he does well out there, then they'll look at him and bring him for one of the top four. But if he stays at Burnley, he's never going to get any better than what he is already, unfortunately. But he's a good manager, a very good manager. Moving on to Everton. Everton is a real mystery. They've got lots of money. I mean, lots of money now, and they've got really good players. And they go through managers really, really quickly now. And Carlo Ancelotti, again, another Chelsea manager who did very, very well. But he's not doing very well with Everton at the moment with the players he's got. And that's the same as the 3 or 4 managers they had before that haven't done very well either. And they've got a lot of money. And I don't know what the problem is there. And they've got a big club there, a massive club. And it's just not working. So if Carlo Ancelotti, who's one of the best managers in Europe, can't turn them around, then they've got to look at the infrastructure, I think, and what they're doing, because, that club should be up in the top 4 as well. They're a very big club. And obviously the rivals with Liverpool, and they'll be hurting today big time.
Very quiet at the moment.
Very, very quiet. You don't hear much about them. And moving on to Newcastle, Steve Bruce. The club's been owned by Mike Ashley for quite a while, and if you speak to the Newcastle fans, they hate him. They want him out, and they've got their wish. There's a Saudi conglomerate bought the club, or buying the club as they speak, and they will put some money into it. Now, Steve Bruce has steadied the ship, and they're doing quite well, although they're not going to be putting up any roses. But the thing is whether they'll keep Steve Bruce, because if you've got money coming into that club, they'll want a big manager. And if I've got, I would think, if Mourinho doesn't do well at Tottenham, Newcastle could be a very good fit for him. It's a big club. And that's that, I'd be looking at that, to be honest with you. But Steve Bruce is doing well at the moment. But, when you've got people coming in with a lot of money, they want success. And where do they go? They go for the best managers. And Mourinho used to be that. And they won't be able to pull a Klopp or Pep Guardiola away from there to go to Newcastle. So, Mourinho is probably the best bet. Okay.
Another brilliant prediction there. I'm just writing that on the screen.
Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl, a good manager, to be honest with you, and he's doing well there. He's an Austrian manager, and he is doing exceptionally well. He is steadying the ship there. The trouble is with Southampton, when they've got good players, at the end of the season, they sell them. I mean, Virgil van Dijk was their best player by a country mile last season. And they sold him straight to Liverpool. And, because of that, Liverpool had the best back four. And he sort of steered that ship to the winning Liverpool team that you see now. But they just sell all their good players. And when they keep doing that, they're not going to actually win anything, to be honest with you. So, unfortunately, Southampton are going to be every season looking to sell the players and getting in no further. Sorry, my paperwork's falling all over the place.
That's all right. Okay. It's lovely to you've got such extensive notes, putting me to shame.
Well, no. I know I'm coming out with a lot of statistics, but you can't remember it all.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant.
Brighton, to be honest with you, is another very good club, and they've stayed in the Premiership. I don't know how, but they've got a new in Graham Potter, and he is starting to play some good football. Unfortunately, again, he hasn't got the money to spend on players, but I think he'll keep them up. And next season, I think maybe he may do well and get into the middle of the Premiership. So, I think you've got a good manager in Brighton, and I think they'll do well. Watford is the next one. Now, Watford, I've got to say, is done very well. I mean, at the beginning of the season, they were top rock bottom. Nobody thought they were going to get past the point of relegation. But Nigel Pearson's come in and he's done an amazing job in turning them around. And they're actually out of the bottom three. And I think they may pull away. And to be honest with you, Liverpool winning the Championship, if he keeps them up, it's got to be as good as, because they were rock bottom. They were going nowhere. And now he's come along. He's doing exceptionally well. So, as far as I'm concerned, Nigel Pearson is probably up there with Jurgen Klopp, as in what they've achieved if he keeps them up this season. I've got real problems with West Ham. West Ham are in dire straits at the moment. And they've got David Moyes, who's a good manager, used to manage Everton in their heyday before everything started going wrong. But he's not been able to turn it around. They've got a lot of good players there, and they've spent a lot of money this season. And they're just going nowhere. And they're in real trouble now, real trouble. And I've got a funny feeling that West Ham are going to go down. It is a prediction, but unless they pull something out of the bag, they've got Chelsea their next game, and I can't see them beating them. So as far as I'm concerned, West Ham are in a dodgy position. I think they may go down this season. Bournemouth is another club which is very well run. Eddie Howe has been there for I don't know how long, decades, and he's done very, very well. But again, I think time's running out now on that team. They again haven't got the money. They haven't got a big club in the stature of the stadium and things like that. And I predict that this time Bournemouth may go down. It's a shame, but I think they will go down. So my prediction so far is West Ham and Bournemouth going down. But who are they going to go down with? And Aston Villa are down in the relegation battle, but I think they've got enough to get out. They've got a cracking player in Jack Grealish. If they stay up, they'll keep him. If they don't, then they'll lose him, and he will go to another bigger club. But I think Dean Smith and John Terry's got enough in there to sort of keep them up. So my prediction is that West Ham, Bournemouth go down, and with them is Norwich City. Norwich are already down. They haven't got really enough points to compete with the relegation zone. And as far as I'm concerned, they're already gone. It's a shame, really, because they play good football and they're a nice team to watch. But they definitely won't be in the Premiership next season. However, they are in the FA Cup, and we'll be talking about that in a minute when we come to predictions. And who knows? I mean, it's happened before. Wigan went down, and they won the FA Cup, so it could happen with Norwich. So we'll talk about that now. But that's my predictions for the Premiership as we speak. So if you've got any questions or you want to put that on the screen, come back, because these are only my assumptions, not everybody's.
Well, you've whet my appetite there. Absolutely brilliant, loving it, and the sense of drama that's occurring there. And I noticed that Norwich face Arsenal next, and what their only choices really are to give up or play their hearts out, right? When you're in that position.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they've still got a chance. Don't get me wrong; they've still got a chance, but they've got to win every game now. And I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. It's a bit of a problem, really. They haven't got the players, but they've got a nice club. They've got a good owner that keeps putting money in, but not enough to keep them in the Premiership. And the manager's a good manager as well, and they're playing really good football. But they just haven't got enough points, and they won't. They'll be out of the Premiership next season.
But they still have idea.
Straight back up again, but they'll never have the money to stay there.
Oh, okay. Is Delia Smith still their owner?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Oh.
She's very good, but I have to say, she does put money in, and the money that she makes, she puts into her club, and she loves her club. But there isn't enough money there to keep them in the Premiership. I mean, the Premiership's all about money, and if you can't buy those players, you're not going to stay in the Premiership. Gone are the days of Nigel Clough. Sorry, not Nigel Clough, but Brian Clough for Nottingham Forest, where he came from nowhere, won the league, and won the European Cup twice. From nowhere. Those days are gone. Unless you've got the money, you're not going to Premiership. Leicester did well, but they still had somebody who had some money, and they put it behind the club. So every club that has a lot of money will be in the top 5, 6. And that's about it. The rest will just be in the middle of the Premiership. They'll have to do a Super League sooner or later, where it'll be the top 4 in the UK and the top 4 in Spain, the top 4 in Italy, and they'll have a Super League, and that's where
right.
It'll end up like that because there's so much money in the game, and those clubs will always be in the top 5, always.
Yeah. So it becomes boring in a sense. Brian Clough, Rome wasn't built in a day, but then again, I wasn't involved on the job. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said a lot of things.
Brilliant.
My favourite one of his when he bought Trevor Francis, and Trevor Francis was the first £1 million player, and he bought him. And a very, very good buy. He won the European Cup for them with a great header. But when he bought him, they obviously had the cameras there, and they were sitting down having a chat. And because he was the first $1 million player and a great player, they said the press was saying to Trevor Francis, "So Trevor, when do you think you'll be playing your first game for Nottingham Forest?" And Brian Clough just said, "When I pick him."
I love the movie. What's it called? The Damn United or something? Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the out there will be able to come up with some Brian Clough stories as well, because he was a great character. Yeah. I can see you getting a lot of feedback now.
Yeah, you're a diehard sports fan when you support Sunderland. We didn't talk about them there because they're not in the Premiership, but they what do they play on? Just on Sunday mornings now? Where are Sunderland?
You're degrading them. No. Sunderland. I have to say, Sunderland are a massive club. I mean, they're as big as Newcastle, easily. Mind you, Newcastle won't like that, but they are a big club, Sunderland. They're just, again, wrong managers. The chairman take the money, and so they haven't got the money in the club. And when that's happening, they just go down, and so they go down a couple of divisions, which is unfortunate for them. They're with Portsmouth now. They're playing Portsmouth, which is a big club, and they're playing them. But Sunderland are a big club, and it'd be great to see them coming back. But somebody's got to invest some money into that as well.
Okay, brilliant. And a comment from the rugby community. Don't forget rugby, because even footballers need heroes.
No. To be honest with you, rugby isn't my sport. However, I love watching it. I love the World Cup. I mean, it was in Japan. It was fantastic, and it was just a great event. But I think next week we'll talk a lot more on rugby, because obviously they want to see the games coming back. So I'm going to do a bit on rugby next week.
And obviously the ultimate in non-socially distant sport. Be interesting. Okay, what are we talking about next here on the Sport Report? This is what we're doing every Saturday morning now between 10 and 11 as an offshoot from the Good Morning Portugal. I'm going to call it a franchise. And I think that I've got a lot of high hopes for this, because I just love the atmosphere here. People chipping in with their comments. It's upbeat, it's lighthearted, and there's a little bit of skin in the game and a little bit of competition as well. So we've got the makings of a lot of fun here, I think, on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard time you do this, but you swap and change it, talk about different sports, and we can also predict, which is exactly what we're going to do now, Carl. Right?
Okay, let's do it.
So the information I've given you, regarding the clubs in the Premiership. Let's go through this week's games.
Yeah.
Aston Villa, Wolves. I've actually predicted that Wolves will win this, and it'll be Aston Villa 0 and Wolves 1. So what do you think?
I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1.
1-1. What did you base that on? Anything I said, or
no? My waters.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I quite. Okay. Watford, Southampton on Sunday. I predict 1-1.
I'm going to go for 2-1 to Southampton.
2-1 Southampton. Okay, fair enough.
Are we
Palace,
writing these down? Are we writing these down? Or are we going to transcribe later?
No. Because you put these on YouTube, I'll be looking back on it. So
okay, all right, fine.
I'll know exactly what.
All right, next.
Palace, Burnley. I'm going 1-1 again. Sorry,
who was playing Burnley? You dropped out a little bit there.
Crystal Palace.
Oh, Crystal Palace. Okay, I'm going to have Burnley 2-1.
No, fair enough. Brighton against Man United. Bearing in mind, Manchester United is starting to play quite well now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Brighton 1, Manchester United 2.
3-1. 3-1 to United.
3-1. What's a Man United?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Arsenal, Norwich. Now, bear in mind, Norwich are down as far as I'm concerned, and Arsenal are trying to find their feet. But I think Arsenal got enough to really play them off the park. So I'm going to go a big 4-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I winced a bit when I saw that fixture, and I'm going to say 4-0.
4-0. That's a good one. Bournemouth, Newcastle United. Now, Bournemouth are fighting for their lives, but Newcastle United are doing quite well. So I'm going to, because Bournemouth are playing at home, I'm going to give them a 1-1 draw.
It's going to be an interesting atmosphere in Bournemouth, given all that's gone on this week. I'm good. Yeah, with Bournemouth at home, as you say there, I'm going to go for 2-1 to Bournemouth.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, Everton, as I said to you before, big club, lots of money, great manager. You know, they should be doing really well, but they're playing Leicester. Now, Leicester are flying at the moment. Then, you know, they haven't done too well in the last couple of games, but they've got some great players and they're doing very, very well. I'm going to go 1-1, only because Everton are going to be hurting against the fact that Liverpool won the championship, and then they're going to want to really perform. But I don't think they're any better than Leicester City, so I'm going to go 1-1.
2-1 Leicester.
I think you might be right there. I'm trying to give Everton a bit of a shout there. Right, now, West Ham against Chelsea. Chelsea, man, I'm going to go Chelsea. I'm going to go Chelsea 2-1. Not because it's Chelsea, but because West Ham are playing diabolical. So, but West Ham always played well again, which is a bit of a bogey side for us. But I'm still going to say that Chelsea are going to beat them 2-1.
I'm going to go for a bit of a wild prediction here. I'm going to say 3-0 to Chelsea. Not for any love of Chelsea, especially.
Okay.
Just what I'm feeling.
Okay. Sheffield United versus Spurs. Sheffield United, as I say, flying. They're doing well under Chris Wilder. And I believe that that's a 1-1 more.
Oh, do you? I think the Blades are going to get that 2-1.
Okay, fair enough then.
Okay.
And the last one, which is Man City versus Liverpool. You've got to get it at Liverpool. I'm going to do 2-1 Liverpool, and they're going to make Man City sick so that Man City will turn it around next season.
Wonder what Owen's going to say about that. But yeah, aren't they going to be exhausted though, Liverpool? Or do you think they're just going to be running on adrenaline and excitement and just pure passion?
No, they've got a lot of things. The amount of points at the end of the season. You know, there's always there's loads of bonuses and stuff for the player. Yeah, they'll want to win every game. Want to,
because they didn't
create records.
Yeah, because they didn't even have to play, did they, to win the Premiership? So they're in fine form. Let's go. Sorry, Owen. I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool.
Right. Okay. And the last 4 games we're going to go through. We'll go through quite quickly. The F6. There's only 8 teams left. And the first one is today, I think. It's Norwich versus Manchester United. And I believe United will beat them 3-1, but I hope they don't. But, this has happened before where the lower club win the FA Cup, as Wigan did, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
But I still think United are going to beat 3-1.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 4-1. I mean, what's it like being Norwich if you've got like Man United and Arsenal to face in 1 week?
Sorry? Say it again, you're cracking up.
What's it like for Norwich, like having to face Arsenal and Man United within a week? I don't suppose their morale, they're going to be a bit nervous, aren't they? Yeah.
It will demoralize them even more, and that's the reason why they're going to go down, unfortunately.
Yeah. 4-1, I'm saying there.
Okay, so the other 3 games, Sheffield United against Arsenal. I'd like to see Sheffield win it, but I think it's going to be Arsenal 2, Sheffield United 1.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you on that. Not very controversially.
Okay, fair enough. Again, it's going to be a real game, this. Leicester City versus Chelsea. Leicester at home, but I still got enough to beat them 2-1 because they're on up and Leicester's sort of stagnant at the moment. So I believe Chelsea will beat Leicester 2-1.
Let me give that 3-1 to Chelsea.
Okay, last one: Newcastle versus Man City. Newcastle are my bet to actually win it. I think they've got something at the moment where the luck of getting through, and you need a lot of luck to win the FA Cup. And I'm going to go, which is going to amaze a lot of people and upset the Man City players, supporters out there. I'm going to go Newcastle 1, Man City 0. They aren't going to be very happy at the moment, and I don't think they're going to play to their heart's content. So I'm going to go Newcastle 1, Man City 0.
All right, 2-1 to Man City for me on that one.
Okay. Well, that concludes all of the predictions. Let's see what happens next week and see if I beat you. But the way I've been going, you're probably going to beat me hands down.
Yeah, ordinarily there'd be a very good chance of you beating me with your predictions. But yeah, as you say, you're off form.
Yeah, we're very off form. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to give you some news on football in Europe, really. Not a lot, but because it's coming to the end of the season. But in Portugal, Premier League, you've got Porto and Benfica fighting out for the top position, and Sporting Lisbon in third place. But because I come from Mortágua in Portugal, and I live there weekends, I support Sporting Lisbon because all of Mortágua seems to support them at the same time. We've got a little club down there, so I go and spend the time with them on the Saturday, and we watch them. But if you talk to the Sporting Lisbon supporters, they think there's a lot of politics going on, and the way that Porto and Benfica are up there, and they think there's money laundering and all things going on there. So the Portuguese isn't doing too well at the moment.
Mm. And it's like the Super League situation you were describing, or what might bring about a Super League. The Portuguese Premier League is just owned by those 4 top teams, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I'd like to see a Super League because the money that's been pushed around the whole of Europe at the moment is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So, when you've got 4 clubs in Portugal that are, the top 4 in Spain, Italy, Holland, France, the UK, you've got a lot of opportunity to build a like the Premiership, a lot of teams which have got a lot of money, and who would be the best club in Europe, and I think it's going that way, whether you like it or not. I think it's going that way. It won't happen now, but with all the money that's going around the country. But the trouble is with the supporters, they're not going to travel to Real Madrid or, well, they might, on Barcelona, but you've got to have money to do that. But with all this streaming on live streaming, people can watch it on their own TV. So I think it'll go that way. But in Portugal, they've got to choose to sort because the top 2 clubs, there's a lot of politics going on there. So we'll have to see what happens there, really. Italy, Juventus and Inter Milan are fighting out for top space, but I think Juventus are going to win it. I mean, Ronaldo is playing superb again. I mean, he left Real Madrid and he's now playing for Juventus, and he scored again last night, and he's scored 23 goals now, which is phenomenal. He seems to score over 20 goals a season club he plays for. He's an amazing player, an absolutely amazing player. I don't think it's Messi. That's another argument we can have in a couple of weeks.
Yes,
who's the best player in the world? But at the moment, I think it's Messi. Ronaldo is very, very good. Funny enough, side action, I actually met Pele, and at that time, I thought Pele was the greatest, but then Maradona came along. So, there's some arguments, and we can have a lot of fun with that in the next couple of weeks. Who does anyone think the best player in the world was? Moving on to Spain, Real Madrid and Barcelona, 2 clubs that are really fighting it out at the top. And they're on the same points, albeit Real Madrid won, and they're top on points. But Barcelona are playing today, I think, and they win, they go top. So they're fighting it out, but it's only between 2 teams, and that's really Real Madrid and Barcelona. It always has been for a long time.
Yeah.
Moving on to the German Bundesliga. Well, this is I find this ridiculous. I mean, you've got a club there with so much money where they win the title every single season. It was only when Klopp was with Feyenoord, Borussia Dortmund, sorry, that they had a club to go against. But Bayern Munich just win the title all the time. So it's just a nonsense. And that's probably why they need a Super League, to put those teams up against other really big teams every week. But Bayern Munich will win the Bundesliga. They're 10 points ahead already, so nobody's going to catch them. Dutch League, now that's a bit more involved. You've got Ajax, Alkmaar, and Feyenoord and PSV Eindhoven are fighting for that top position. So that's a good league to watch at the moment. And I think Ajax will win it, but it is a good league, and they bring up great players, and hence the Premiership buy up the Dutch players. Chelsea's just bought another one, so they bring some good players to the Premiership in Holland. Moving on to the French league, another thing which is exactly the same as Germany. There's only one club that's going to win that, and that's Paris Saint-Germain, and nobody else is going to catch them. And that's because, again, I keep saying it, it's down to the money. And if you've got a lot of money, you can buy all the players in the league. So Germany and France, they're given. They're just given. Even next season, I can tell you, Bayern Munich will win it again, and then Paris Saint-Germain will win it. It's odds on. So that's a bit on Europe. Any questions on that?
No, but it's a very interesting picture you paint there, and it's obviously the long-standing criticism, isn't it, of professional football, of top flight football, is it's all about the money. And what can you do? I mean, you can keep on complaining about that, or I guess you kind of go with it and you go the Super League route, as you're talking about, which would probably be even more money in the game, or those in that particular league, and maybe a different way of viewing it, because, as you say, people won't be probably flying around Europe to follow the games. It will be a televisual affair.
Yeah. Well, it'll be something to get a Super League, but it's a way off. But some of these leagues have got to look at themselves, as in, are they happy with just one club winning the league every year? Look at the Premiership. Probably 5 or 6 clubs. You know what I mean? But it's just too much money in the game at the moment.
Yep. I noticed that our crowd here have gone a bit quiet, and Peter was saying we need a theme tune. I think that's a great idea, a theme tune for In and Out, and maybe a few sound effects as well to keep, if people are nursing hangovers or feeling a bit sleepy on a Saturday morning, we need to keep them awake and contributing. We were loving your comments earlier on, so don't forget in these closing moments of this first Sport Report with Good Morning Portugal and the excellent Calvin. I'm very impressed, Calvin. You told me, I went on your word that you were a passionate sports fan and knew a thing or two about sport. I am very, very impressed by your level of knowledge and your delivery. So I'm really looking forward to this as it unfolds in the coming weeks. Here we go. We've got some more comments coming in. How about Blue Moon? What's that about the Super League? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Sorry,
what are they saying?
No, I thought Owen was saying we're never going to see a Super League, not in a blue moon. But he said, "How about that for a theme tune?" I think we're going to have to choose something a little bit more independent than that, Owen. But thank you for your suggestion and sharing your allegiance there. Fantastic. Calvin, I think it's wonderful. And some people will obviously be thinking, are they only going to be doing football? You love all sport, don't you? It's not just going to be football, but it seemed like a really good place to start.
Yeah, it is a good challenge to up, but I mean, I do like the boxing and the golf and the cricket. So I mean, we'll be talking about other things in the weeks moving forward. But a very quick one on Eddie Hearn. He's opening up a back garden of a mansion that he used to play near as a kid near Brentwood, and he's opening up the boxing for Dillian Whyte to fight Provotkin for. The opportunity to fight the big boys in Antua and Tyson Fury, and whoever wins out of those two will end up fighting, I think, Dillian Whyte. But that's really good boxing at the moment. There's so many heavyweights that are doing very, very well. It comes back to the days of the George Foreman, Ali, and Fraser, when they all fought each other, and it's very much the same now. Some really good fights coming this way, so keep an eye out for that. Also, cricket. we're lucky to know that Joffrey Archer is be up for the West Indies first test against West Indies, and he's after a negative virus test, he's going to be playing. So he's training England now. Tennis, unfortunately, Novak Djokovic won't have a coach for a little while. Goran Ivanisevic has now been told that he has the virus, and now looking to hope that he's not going to get the symptoms. So we wish him well. And moving on to golf, at the moment on the Travellers Championship, we've got Phil Mickelson 9 under. 13 under, and you've got Rory McIlroy at 9 under, and he could have a last ditch at trying to win that title by Sunday. Horse racing, there's 4 racings on today. Redcar going to firm, Newcastle standard to slow, Newmarket good to firm, and Lingfield stand slow. How they're going to do that, I don't know, with nobody actually watching it. Is unreal. But anyway, that's in place. And motor racing, you won't believe this, but Lewis Hamilton, I reckons he's got a faster car for this year. And if that happens, he's going to win the championship again, and he'll equal Michael Schumacher, which is an incredible feat. And he probably will go down as the greatest motor racing driver of all time. And I think there's one other, and that's the Olympics. That's going to be on the 23rd of July, 2021 in Tokyo. I've been lucky enough to go to Tokyo, and I would basically say to anyone, if you get an opportunity, get a ticket, go over there, and you'll have a fantastic time. And that's me done.
Amazing. We show one, and you're already a legend in my view. What a fantastic, comprehensive view of sport. A very, very excellent insight into the Premiership, and we've got our predictions to come back to. I'm looking forward to that, to talking again next Saturday. A few more comments. Owen is very appreciative of our work this morning. Great show, guys. Thank you. I think we should, from time to time, bring other people onto the screen with a bit of punditry as well. And the other thing, yeah, I mean, the other thing we could do is a bit like, some of Portuguese telly. We could watch a match together on this, and that could be quite something, I think, if there were like 4 of us on the screen here watching a match in our respective homes. We could be doing a bit of a commentary, which could be quite interesting. Obviously, we can't show the game because we might find ourselves in prison or something like that. But also from Wayne, from my childhood in Canada, I followed the NFL and the NHL. I was brought up on ice skates, and I'm typing this in my Habs T-shirt. We don't know what you're talking about, or I don't, and that's why we should have you on the screen, Wayne, giving us an introduction to hockey and the game they call football in America, which of course isn't football, but is a kind of variant of football. But nonetheless, not to be too snobby or snooty about it, we'd love you to come on and talk about that, wouldn't we, Calvin?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I like American football, to be fair. It's an exciting game. I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules very well, but if somebody can come on and tell us, so that'd be good. Yeah,
Owen's up for definitely joining us. So we'll have a Chelsea fan and a Man City fan on the screen, and a somewhat impartial person in me. We probably need. I was going to invite John Cunningham, but he's another Chelsea fan. We can't have that sort of imbalance. You've been given the title of football guru, Wayne, and I think I'd extend Calvin's invitation there. Yes, we'd like to know how American football works. Have someone explain it to us. And while you're about it, how about doing baseball at the same time, so that we know that it's not rounders and it's a more complicated game than rounders. And I actually have my City shirts hanging behind me. We'll send those pictures in as well. That's a great thing. It would be great if you send your pictures of yourselves with your shirts, both Wayne and Owen, to our Sports Report community. And in the week, use that as your home. Get in there with the banter from Saturday to Saturday, and we can talk about the predictions, and we can keep each other on our toes in the community group there. Calvin, you don't do Facebook, do you?
Who, me or Wayne?
Yeah, you don't do Facebook.
I don't, but I have to start.
We might be able to bring him in. All right, your line's breaking up a little bit, but I've got to say, yes, absolutely, football guru and sports fan, passionate sports fan, and an amazing debut on this pitch, on this virtual pitch of the Good Morning Portugal Sports Report. I think it's amazing, and we're going to have a lot of fun Saturday mornings, not 9 till 10, but 10 till 11 Saturday mornings as we limber up for a day of sport. This is almost like foreplay for all you sports fans, isn't it? First thing on a Saturday morning. And
I've really enjoyed it to be well, and I hope to do it again this week.
Yeah, you will. We'll see you next week because you'll still be in quarantine, I think. You haven't got anywhere to go. So, no, he doesn't do Facebook, says Maria. But I will get him in. So, yes, we'll have you in that Facebook community. Good morning to you, Maria.
You'd come into it.
All right, mate.
Come into it somewhere along.
Yeah, I hope so. I think we can have a lot of fun there. So have a great Saturday. Enjoy yourself in the UK, and we'll keep a beer cold for you here in Portugal. Take care, and bye for now, everybody. Have a great Saturday.